Welcome into the fourth segment of the Andrew Tate Show by GSMC Sports. In the first three segments, we covered the game between the Dallas Mavericks and the Minnesota Timberwolves. We talked about name, image, and likeness in the last segment. In segment 2, we talked about the Utah Utes potentially going to the ACC. And now we are shifting away from sports. As I mentioned before the break, we're going to be talking about some pet stories. Tate, you are more of a dog person than a cat person, right?
I'm not a cat person.
Okay.
You know what, though? It makes sure people understand. I'm strongly not a cat person. But I don't hate cats. I'm just allergic to cats.
Me too.
You know what I mean? They don't like me and I don't like them. We agree to see other people. Let's put it that way. That's a better way of putting it. I don't dislike them. I just can't hang with them because.
Well, I put the cat story first. We've got a cat story and a dog story. I put
Okay.
the cat story first so we can get it out of the way and you can then move on.
I hate cats. I got no problem with them.
They're similar stories in that they both involve animals in academia. So let's start with
Does this one have a name, image, and likeness deal too?
Probably not. I think it might have been a little before that.
Okay. Let's see.
So for the most part, as you know, cats spend their time lounging around, or this is what the article says: murdering innocent animals.
You know what they do?
It's in their nature.
We grew up on a kind of a bit of a small farm in Ohio, and
meaning his family, not
yes,
like we meaning
yes.
We didn't grow up together.
And my mom, she had this cat, and this cat was smoking fools everywhere in the barnyard. Man, there wasn't a bird within 200 miles that wasn't sweating flying through our neighborhood. So those cats can be vicious. All right, go ahead.
Okay, let me just interject here then. My dog, when she was a puppy, I don't think she killed the bird because I don't think she was that fast or smart at that time, but she brought a dead bird into my house and I stepped on it in my bed.
Oh, yeah.
So bleh. Anyway,
okay, go ahead. We move on from that one.
Okay, Chester. Chester is the cat in this story. And Chester was no ordinary cat. In fact, this intellectual feline played an important part in the history of physics.
Oh, okay.
Kind of. The story starts in the 1970s, so before name, image, and likeness, when physics professor Jack H. Hetherington wrote a paper called 2, 3, and 4 atom exchange effects in BCC3 HE. I don't know what that means, but that's okay. I was okay in physics, but not good. According to Atlas Obscura, the paper was about, quote, the behavior of atoms at various temperatures. Okay, makes sense. Mm-hmm. But when he was done writing the document on a typewriter, makes a point of telling us he wrote it on a typewriter, he realized he'd made a big mistake. Even though he was the only one involved in the study, he'd used the words we and us multiple times in the study, or in his paper. So that's why the typewriter is important, because you can't just go find, replace. Instead of rewriting the entire thing, he added an extra author, Chester, the cat. Hoping to make the feline sound more respectable, he gave the cat the pen name of FDC Willard. Willard was in honor of the cat's dad, and FDC was a combination of the scientific name for house cats, the Felis domesticus, plus Chester. The paper was well received, and in 1980, Chester, quote-unquote, authored a second paper in a French magazine, receiving sole credit for his work. It was an incredible moment for both physics and felines alike. It's silly, but it made me laugh.
No.
Wrote 2 physics papers.
I don't understand how this is the dumb criminal, but...
That's segment 5.
Oh, okay. I was like, did he get a deal and then he robbed a bank? What did he do? I'm waiting on the dumb criminal part to kick in.
You're a segment ahead.
Okay, I got a little confused for a second.
It's okay.
Okay, this is kind of cool.
I mean, it could be fraud. It's not
technically, I was just okay. So this kind of made, like, when you were talking about this, I went even one step further. I start thinking about the people even before the typewriter, and it's like they're writing on parchment paper, or they're having it on a stone tablet. You know what I mean? A typo is a mother if you're using a stone tablet or parchment paper.
And not to give away our ages, but we've mentioned that we are a tiny bit older than maybe some of our I did typing in high school. Did you take typing in high school? I mean, I typed.
I did not.
I had a combination of in high school of typewriter and PC.
Okay.
But typewriter, ooh.
Okay, so here's the thing. I actually made our typing teacher cry.
No.
I did. She was a sweet, sweet woman.
What did you do?
I had her for homeroom. And you're required for back when I was in school, you had to take typing to graduate.
Mm-hmm.
So my sophomore year, I'm in typing, and I get permission to take an extra math class. So I was able to drop typing. Then my sophomore year, I get permission to take, I think it was additional math class. And so I was allowed to drop typing. And then my senior year, I had her as a homeroom, and I loved her. She was a really sweet woman, and we had kind of bonded. And this was going to be the year that I'm going to finally go through the typing class. And then I got approval to take an extra science class. I took genetics. That sounds kind of weird now. I took genetics in place of typing, and I got it approved. And so I was a kid that did not have to take typing. And I remember coming to her class, and I was like, "Oh shoot!"
And you made her cry.
I thought she was gonna be mad at me, and she's like, "Again?" And I'm like, "I'm so sorry." And she's like, and she started crying, and I'm like, I gave her a hug and everything, and I felt bad, but
it explains your typing skills.
My typing skills, they suck right to this day. I can type. A brother can type now. Don't get me wrong.
You don't do this. You type, and you do use your full hands, but
and that's because of her. Because I did 3 years in a row. I started the first week of class.
So
you get the home keys down.
Typing.
Yeah, you have the home keys, and you do the reaching. So I got the basics down, and then I taught myself the rest of the way. But yeah, I ended up making her cry because of that sweet lady. That meant how nice I was that the teacher would actually cry that I dropped her class again. But she was a great lady. I always enjoyed her. But yeah, in the end. Now,
go ahead.
I'm
just gonna say shout out to Mrs. Beck, who was my high school teacher, and she was awesome. So I can type.
I can type, but I'm just not as advanced as some others.
I don't think Chester the cat can type, especially not on a typewriter.
Right.
I didn't really push those. Well, no, electric typewriter in the 70s. It probably was an electric.
No.
Could have been a manual.
I think it probably manual. I think electric typewriter is more 80s than anything.
Could be.
But that was kind of smart. When you're looking around, you're like, oh shoot, I didn't put we in here like 402 times. How do I retype this? And then your cat comes over looking for, a snack. It's like, all right, let me go wait a minute, my cat. Let me.
The cat was technically here for the writing.
And it's a heck of a lot easier to just go to that last page and just say, bye, this person, and then what's the cat's name?
Chester
the paper molester, whatever.
We're gonna move on to the dog story. I don't trust you with the Chester story anymore. We're gonna move on.
Chester the cat, whatever you want to call him. But yeah, you type that in. That's easier than just going through and retyping a whole page. I'd have been doing the same thing. Like, nope. I'd have put my sister in there as a co-writer.
Sure.
So.
All right. Well, we also have a dog who got a PhD So getting a PhD is no easy task. I don't have a PhD. But before he died in 2013, Elvis, the Welsh Corgi, was awarded an honorary doctorate. So exactly how does a dog earn such a big deal degree? It has a lot to do with his owner, Tim Pennings, an associate math professor at Hope College. This Michigan professor was teaching a class one day on how to determine the quickest way to get from one point to another. And while drawing lines on his chalkboard, he explained that the shortest route isn't always the fastest. Later that day, Pennings was playing fetch with Elvis at Lake Michigan, tossing the ball into the water for Elvis to bring back. As Elvis retrieved the ball, Pennings noticed something interesting. The shortest path to the ball was for Elvis to run directly into the water and swim at a diagonal path. But instead of taking this route, Elvis ran a little way down the beach, jumped into the water, and swam straight for the ball. Sure, it was technically a longer trip, but it allowed Elvis to fetch the ball in a much shorter time by swimming less. As Pennings explained, it seemed his dog was inherently using calculus to get the ball as fast as possible. Intrigued, Pennings conducted the experiment multiple times, recording Elvis's speed and using a tape measure to determine the distance the Corgi was covering. After plotting out all that info on a graph, it seemed to Pennings that Elvis had an instinctual knack for calculus. With his mathematical canine, Pennings was then easily able to explain this concept to students. The two gave multiple math lectures, and Elvis has even been featured in calculus textbooks. In other words, Elvis totally earned that doctorate.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't. This dog was not over here sitting down there, busting out the calculator, doing the math, trying to figure out, okay, rise over run. See, I still remember that rise over run situation. I'm not going to take the secant and the tangent to get to this part right here. He was just like, you know what? This water is flowing this way. He keeps throwing that stuff way out there in the boat. It's flying this way, floating this way. I'm going to run down this way, get ahead of it, dive in the water. He wasn't using calculus. He was just a smart dog.
But it is an interesting point about animal instincts and how they can kind of figure that stuff out that humans
Animals are lots. Yeah.
Science for.
Yeah, he was just this guy was like, man, this dog can't be that smart. And then it's like, wow, maybe he isn't smart. Maybe he's using calculus to figure out this. No, he was just using natural instincts. You see, he throws it way out there. It starts floating down this way. And it's like, I can swim out this way and then chase it. Or I can just run down the river down there and then dive in further down and catch it. And you know what I mean? That is not a dog that deserves a doctorate degree.
It was honorary.
I don't care. I want an honorary doctorate degree because I can run down there and do the exact same thing. Hook a brother up with his doctorate.
But you aren't a cute corgi.
I am a cute show host.
I'm not touching that. Now,
Yes, I did say these things.
I took both physics and calculus in high school, and I didn't particularly enjoy either. I did get decent grades, A's and B's. I think I would have done better if there had been a dog teacher. I'm just saying.
If just because this dog realized if you go down and you run down the riverbank and then you can get faster down there and then you dive in the water and you get an honorary doctorate degree, then I think a lot more people should have their doctorate. That's all I'm saying.
You were fine with the cat who did nothing, getting credit for writing 2 papers.
Oh, no,
but
no
credit?
I am not giving the cat any credit. I'm giving the dude, the enterprising individual that's like, oh, hell no. Do I have to retype my whole paper? Or do I throw Mr. Kitty Litter on my paper and just be done and bounce out? That is a man taking advantage of a quality situation. The other one is a man giving a dog an honorary degree just because he was smart enough to run down the river. Shout out to the dog. The dog was a smart dog, and I dig the dog. I just don't dig whoever gave him that honorary degree.
I think it's sour grapes.
Brother, it's salty because he don't have a doctorate degree. I want a doctorate degree. If they're giving them out like that, hook a brother up.
Okay.
More power. You know what? You want to make that dog happy?
No, he's dead.
Forget about that honorary doctorate degree. Hook him up with a nice lifetime supply of Omaha steaks.
Well, yeah.
I bet you that dog would have been happy.
The dog, I'm sure, doesn't. You're right. It was like, whatever.
That's right.
I can't eat this paper.
This is strictly for him. It wasn't for the dog. You trying to hook that dog up, give him a steak of the month club, something like that. Then you talk about a happy dog running down the river.
All right, that point I can see. And on that note, we'll go ahead and take our final break of this episode. And when we come back, guess what? Now we're going to talk about dumb criminals. So are you ready for that?
I am ready.
Okay, well, you, as our listeners and watchers, are tuned into the Andrew Tate Show by GSMC Sports, and we will be right back.